ProWrestlingSheet.com.
All right, I'm gonna hit record.
Look how horrible this hair is.
Nah, man, it looks all good. You look like it's like you look like you don't give a shit. So I think that's good.
I take that as a compliment.
Yeah, I meant it as a compliment. All right.
How's it going though? You doing good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah, I already hit record, so I'll just do an intro and then we'll
no
talk
problem,
wrestling.
man.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, no problem, man. I just first of all appreciate you having me on, man.
No worries, man. I'm only sorry we didn't do it sooner. I'm very, very unorganized. Otherwise, we would have done it like the second you left Impact.
Oh, dude, I'm the same way. I fly by the seat of my pants.
Me too, man. I've got no clue what I'm doing. All right, let's get cracking. Okay. Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to ProWrestlingSheet.com. My name is Norm Quarrinton, and today I am joined by former X Division champion and current IWA Mid-South Heavyweight champion, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Jake Crist. Hey, Jake, how's it going, my friend?
Man, it's going lovely. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I guess we should start chatting about wrestling, right? You want to talk wrestling?
Well, yeah, if you want to, or we can talk about life, whatever you want to do.
Well, I mean, look, we're going to talk about life anyway.
This is your show.
We're going to talk about life anyway because the last year and a bit has been very, very crazy. So I'm sure we're going to talk about that eventually. But let's get started with wrestling quickly because I know you technically only parted ways with Impact a couple months ago.
Yes.
But there was you have been quite prolific since you had your final match with Impact. You've been doing a lot of IWA matches, and it looks like you've been wrestling all over the Midwest. I just want to know, how does it feel from someone that used to be on that circuit a lot back in the day? How does it feel to be back doing that Midwest wrestling circuit?
It's amazing right now, but to be completely honest with you, from going, well, I was on the circus for circus.
It's a circus as well.
It should be a circus,
yeah.
But I was on the circuit for 15 years before that. But the last 4 years being with Impact and kind of picking and choosing between the bookings and stuff. Like I would do AAW and like the promotions that had like the bigger productions and stuff like that, like the stuff that you kind of get used to with promotions like Impact Wrestling. Like their production's amazing, and to me, production is key. Like if a fan walks into a show and there's two ropes, no ring skirts, and people are all out of shape, and all that, like it will turn a first time wrestling fan off, of never coming back to an independent show. So like that's kind of like the hard pill to swallow, so to speak, is going from that great production and not knowing what was going to happen to just going back on the indies, because at this point it was like I didn't know what the hell was going to go on. Pardon my language.
Oh, no, please swear as much as you like.
I didn't know what was going to go on. So like, it was like either sit at home and, try to figure out what they were going to do, or go out and make a living for my family, because I have two children and a wife that I take care of, and obviously the wife takes care of us as well. It's not just me.
Yeah.
It's not just me, trust me.
Yeah.
She's amazing at everything that she does, but that being said, like I didn't know what was going to happen, so I picked up as many bookings as I could during the COVID, and being as safe as possible, masking up and doing everything that you need to do to try to stop this virus. And that's exactly what I've been doing, is just been hitting it hard, hitting it straight, trying to do the best I can during these horrible, horrific times that we're all facing. So like
Yeah.
that's all what I'm trying to do at this point is I'm trying to come out of the pandemic, better than what I was before.
Yeah.
I was weighing 221 pounds on July 7th when I got the awful news of Impact and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, so then I jumped on the scale, 221 pounds. I looked at myself in the mirror and was like, "Do you want to be 221 pounds, not a good muscular, 200, 21 pounds, like a kind of a guy that's kind of, let himself go. I've been with my wife for 19 years. Not that that's an excuse.
Oh no. I mean,
not that that's an excuse, but it's still, I looked at myself and was like, John, do you really want to be this big? You can either come out of this pandemic even fatter than what you are, or you could come back the best shape that you possibly can, and that's exactly what I've done. I've been on a strict diet. I've been hitting 2 a days every day, and now I'm down to 175.2.
I mean, I think to come out to sort of part ways with Impact during a pandemic, and then to do what you've done and basically establish yourself as a very serious singles competitor, and then, as you said, get yourself into better shape than you were before. I mean, I think that is very, very impressive. And I mean, if I was to look at the track record of professional wrestlers during the pandemic in terms of spots that they've been working, matches that they've been winning, and sort of just in terms of coping with everything that's been going on, I mean, you're like up there, man. I mean, like just looking at your cage match profile, the matches that you have had and the wins that you've had since leaving Impact, it's almost shocking. Like, it's just really impressive, like how prolific you've been.
I appreciate that so much for putting me over like that. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that.
Anytime.
Thank you so much. But yeah, man, like it literally with the stuff that happened with the Impact and all that, like it lit a fire under my ass. And like I even was texting somebody early today, like, hey, our talk that we had when I won the X Division Championship, I wish it would have stuck with me then, unfortunately, with losing the, like I don't even know what the hell really happened with all that, but like not being with the company and all that, it really lit a fire under my ass. So it was like, not that it was like one of those like, oh, I'm gonna shove it to whoever. It's more for me, and if I do have any fans out there of Jake Crist, like I wanna be the best and healthy version that I can, not only in the ring but also out of the ring for my two children.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned being X Division champion just then. Talk us through because that is, whatever people want to say about Impact Wrestling, that title, I consider it to be a pretty prestigious title.
I do too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I mean, you just have to look at the lineage to see that. How talk us through the moments leading up to like you winning that title. How did it feel when you were in the ring after you'd won it? Kind of what happened? How did you? I don't want you to give too much away if you don't want to, but like, when did you learn that you were going to be going over and all that stuff?
Like, I knew a little bit beforehand, and when I did, of course, I was like, oh, Sam, like my boy Sammy Swan, da 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 da. Dude, this is what the plan is. This is gonna be awesome. But it was only like my my real close friends like Sammy and Swan and like Sawyer, like Sawyer Fulton and
Bolton.
Madman
Madman.
Fulton, you know, the Madman Fulton.
Who's been you? I mean, you must have known each other for years, right?
You know, to be completely honest, with me and Sawyer, we have only known each other since he came back, or since he came with OV and Impact.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
Okay.
you know, of course, you know, with Sammy being my best friend, he would put him over stuff like with their time in NXT and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
when he moved to Ohio and he became a part of our group, like I was booking a group called Rockstar Pro Wrestling in Dayton, Ohio at that time, and it was one of those like, hey, you know, bring Fulton in, you know, use him. He's 6'9". I was like, hell yeah, I'll use this guy
Yeah.
at 6'9".
He's a hoss.
That has awesome dreadlocks and his amazing look, you know. So like, yeah, I'll absolutely use this guy. Like I started, getting to know him a little bit, but at first it was one of those like, I don't know if I really, you know, like this guy.
Okay.
And you know, like I think the feeling may have been a little mutual or whatever, because I'm one of those guys that's very close and I like to keep my personal life, you know, personal. And it's like you have to gain my trust for me to actually, you know, be able to trust you with things and so on and so forth. So I'm kind of one of those guys. So I think with him, you know, not really knowing that, he was kind of like, does Jake hate me? You know,
Okay.
being 6'9", being like, does Jake hate me? But like, right,
Yeah.
and then it turned around, and like now we're the best friends as you can be. Like I just spoke with him I was just riding around with him in Dayton last night.
So he knew beforehand that you were gonna win the X Division title.
A couple, like I said, OVE, like we knew, you know, and but you know, other than that, like I kept, you know, I'm all kayfabe, brother.
So how did it feel? How did it feel in the ring? So you already know ahead of time, but once you've actually done the deed in the ring, how does that feel? What's going through your mind at that moment?
To be completely honest, I wanted to get to the back because the building in Canada was super hot, and
Oh
like
wow.
not only was I think everybody was gassed during the shows because there were so many people in the gym, and it was packed and so loud. Like I was just trying to get to the outside, but once I finally got to the outside and you know got that fresh breath of air, it finally sunk in. I was like, wow, like AJ Styles, Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, list goes on and on and on. And, you know, like you said, just pull up on how many people has won the X Division championship. I beat one of my best friends, you know, Rich Swan, for it, which was, you know, kind of like, you know, the icing on the cake, you know, to be able to wrestle one of your best friends for a championship is just, you know, it's kind of a special thing in wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the title you hold now, the IWA heavyweight title, I mean, that actually has a surprisingly prestigious lineage as well. I
Well, I
mean,
mean, Eddie Guerrero held that
yeah, Eddie
championship.
Guerrero had it. Yep, I think CM
Yeah,
Punk, Chris
CM
Hero.
Punk, Cole Cabana. You know,
Yeah.
there's been I believe I don't know if Claudio's won it. I'm sure he probably has.
Mhm.
You know, Eddie Kingston. You know,
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that's held that championship, and that's why I'm you know like I'm holding that championship with pride.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, you're on a
despite
streak.
yeah, I really am. I think it's like close to 160 something days
Yeah, it's
of
impressive.
hold. You know,
Okay, so let's sort of go back a little bit. I want to know if you can remember the very first time you watched wrestling or saw wrestling on TV, or if you a live show, anything like that?
Well, yeah, my very first time watching wrestling, I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I was sitting on my father's lap. He had popcorn, and we rented a WrestleMania, and Hulk Hogan came out, and I was absolutely hooked.
Yeah.
And then when the Ultimate Warrior came out, I was like completely hooked. Ravishing Rick Rude, hooked, and then the Rockers. I've always been a fan of Shawn Michaels.
Uh-huh.
I was actually talking with a buddy a couple nights ago. Like we kind of just, late at night we'll be watching wrestling or whatever, and I was like, dude, like I put a top 10 favorite wrestler, list together. What's your top 10 favorite? And he's like, man, it's a hard question. I was like, man, I did mine from top to bottom, and like Shawn Michaels and Muda's like 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, he's HBK is up there for me as well, honestly.
Yeah.
He's one of my all-time favorites.
Absolutely.
So do you remember the moment? So I mean, we've already talked about with the first time you watched it and who your favorites were back then. Do you remember the moment that you knew you wanted to be a professional wrestler?
The moment I knew was actually that moment when I seen the larger than life characters. I mean, they were cartoon characters back in the 80s. Like it was. I was born in '84, so it was probably around. It was the VHS tapes. So
Yeah.
like, who knows? Like the WWF home video release, like stuff that you got at like
Coliseum stuff.
Yeah, the Coliseum, stuff
Yeah.
that you would pick up at the local video store that don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So
I remember those days.
Yeah, now we're showing our age.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So do you remember like when you started to put the wheels in motion to, because obviously if you knew when you were very, very young that you wanted to become a professional wrestler, there's a few years until you're able to make that happen. So do you remember the moment when you were like, right, now I need to go start training, I need to find someone to train me? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
what was that like?
I was absolutely do it. It was crazy. All right, so like most people, I feel around like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I was huge. Maybe even 11. Huge into wrestling. Then like I started. I was also doing like baseball stuff. Like with the local stuff around the community. So like we'd play baseball. I would play baseball, organized baseball, all the way up to ninth grade year. So from like 10 or 11, I just stopped watching wrestling and just concentrated on baseball. So like I did baseball all the way up until I was ninth grade. I actually had a full ride scholarship to a local university in Cincinnati. It was the Wittenberg Tigers. They came and scouted me, and like I was the Babe Ruth League in New Carlisle, Ohio. And I got invited to the camp, and they wanted to give me the full ride scholarship for the local college to play baseball with them. But luckily or unfortunately or whatever, however you want to call it, I discovered pro wrestling again around later 8th grade year. I was still playing baseball a little bit, but as soon as I seen Edge, Christian, the Hardy Boys ladder match, Terry Reynolds, Invitational.
Oh yes.
Winner wins the
Terry Invitational tournament.
Bro, that match alone got me hooked back on wrestling. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop playing baseball. I'm gonna focus on wrestling. And that's exactly what we did. And I think it was 14 years old when I decided I was going to just drop baseball, or 15, 6, yeah, I was 15 years old when I decided to quit baseball and just drop baseball. And me and a bunch of my buddies around our neighborhood, we would save our lunch money up, and we would buy wood, and we built our own ring in a in the woods, like some property we didn't even know. It's like in the middle of the woods. We just built a wrestling ring, and we just started, backyard wrestling, or so on and so forth. It got so big in our neighborhood. There was like 200 or 300 people coming to watch our shows. Like,
That's that's crazy.
it was like we promoted, like we flyered out, and so on and so forth. Well, we had our biggest show of our year. And of course we were huge ECW guys then, like loved ECW. Like every single one of us was ECW guys. Like they're like, I was RVD and like Tajiri like combined, and my
Mhm.
buddy my buddy Rod was a couple people, and my buddy Kenny was like just incredible, and Rhino put together. So it was one of those type of things, just kids having fun. Well, we're coming down this big hill in New Carlisle, and there's, the granaries are off to the side. We're walking down this huge hill, and we see nothing but, like, there's like 4 or 5 cop cars. There's like 400 or 500 people around, and this was like an hour before our show was about to
Oh
start.
man.
And the like when we get down there, the cops was like, are you guys involved with this? And we're like, oh yeah, this is, thinking it was going to be okay. Like, oh yeah, this is our show. Like, oh no, this is private property. Here's your citation. Of
Ah.
course, 14, 15 years old. Here's your citation. And then they completely tore down our ring that
Oh, dude.
it sucked. But then we went to my buddy's. It's a long story. I'm sorry if I'm
I don't
being
care, man.
winded.
Go, oh, please, go,
But
go, go.
this is exactly how I got into wrestling.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very interested. I love it.
So we went from that, in the woods, backyard, building our own ring, out out of wood, figuring out exactly, like trying to figure out what a wrestling ring, how to build it. My stepfather was a carpenter, so he was like, build it like you would build a house. So he
Hmm.
actually would show it, like, how to do the things. It's actually pretty cool. Well, anyways, we got kicked out of the woods, got kicked out of a couple of parks as we weren't building rings, but we're still just backyard wrestling and jumping off things or whatever. Um, and then a girlfriend at the time of somebody that was in our group was like, hey, my cousin is a backyard wrestler at another fed, and they're in Milton, Carlisle. So we're like, can we get a number? They're like, got
Mhm.
us a number. And it was Dustin Reyes and John Murray, two guys that are independent wrestlers now. And we go up to Dustin's barn, and they kind of had this decent little setup, and go and we wrestle or whatever. We become huge friends. And then there was even more of us, so we decided to put all our money together. And this time, we're in high school, so we built our own wrestling ring in welding class out of metal. So
Okay.
like what we did is we went to a local independent show, and we begged the promoters, like, can we please take down your wrestling ring so we can actually get the skeleton and how to actually build a wrestling ring. So we took that, and we took those blueprints that we, had in our head, and all of us we brought I think it was like four to $600, and then we got enough metal. We built a ring in welding class at school, and it actually is the largest welding class or welding project in Tecumseh history.
Wow, that's wild.
So we took that ring that we built and we put it in Dustin Reyes' barn. And then my cousin, he was kind of our promoter. He wasn't a wrestler, but this is when the internet first started out. I'm talking about AIM, where it's like,
Oh yeah.
and it's like your mom would pick up the phone, like, "Mom, put the phone down, please. I'm on the internet." It would
I remember
completely.
those days.
You remember those days?
We're
So,
showing our age again, but yeah.
I know. So it was like it was one of those situations. It's like like so we would uh go through different chat rooms and we would promote our shows, and then from there our shows grew from 15 to 20 to 50 to 100 to 200 people at this barn. And then we decided, it was like, well, let's charge like people $2 to get in. We could put this towards our wrestling ring, because it's kind of breaking down a little bit. So we started doing that a little bit. Next thing you know, the local news, it's called News Center 7 in Dayton, Ohio. It's the biggest news
Local news
news
thing.
company, yeah, local news thing. So like they're doing a special on backyard wrestling, and they go and they show us, like they ask us to be involved, get a hold of my cousin, they come, and they're actually like, wow, these kids actually have their stuff together. We had an entranceway, we had a fog machine, we had an actual like professional style ring in a barn, we had a commentator, like we had a nice setup presentation for a barn, and for kids.
Mhm.
But anyways, long story short, that next Sunday, at church, there's a group of people gathering around, like most people do at church, like, hey, how was your week? Blah 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 blah. So they're going through that, and this man named Bill Kovaleski, he says, "Hey, I seen this backyard special on the news. I would love to get a hold of these guys. Like they seem like they have a a little bit of the fundamentals already, but I could tell they're not trained. I would just love to train these guys." And this
Mhm.
guy was trained by Bobby and Charlie Fulton at the Monster Factory. And one of the ladies that happened to be in the same group was the mother of our commentator.
Okay.
And she says, "I know those kids. Here's here's the number. Get a hold of them." He came up the next couple days. He evaluated us, and then it was off to the races. The agreement we had with Bill is like, I'm going to start a Fed in 2 years. Like, I'll train you guys for 2 years, but you guys have to work off your training for 2 years. Which we were all poor kids. We're like, absolutely, like, yeah,
Sign us up.
let's sign it up. Like, unfortunately, he never, got his Fed started, or off the ground. So like all of us kind of ended up getting trained for free,
Oh,
which is which
well, there you
which
go.
is which is crazy.
Yeah,
But
that's very lucky.
it was 2 years. Like it was 2 years, 2 or 3 days a week of us wrestling in our barn, in our ring that we made in welding class for school. It's
I
crazy.
mean, that is a very crazy story. I don't think there's a lot of wrestlers who welded their own ring and then that's how they learned how to wrestle. That is wild.
It's
Uh,
crazy.
so talk. How about how did you joining up with CZW come about? How do you remember how that all went down?
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to do a singles run. There's been points in my career because I've always been stuck in the tag team. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I've always wanted to break out. I've always wanted to be a singles guy. There's been times in companies it's like, okay, yeah, cool, we'll do it, and blah blah blah. Well, CZW was one of the first companies to give me that opportunity to do that. But that was because again, like I was great friends with Sammy Callahan, like
Mm-hmm.
Les Thatcher, Cody Hawk, Matt Stryker,
Mm.
all those guys, Chad Collier. A lot of those guys were at HWA where we started. So it's like when Sammy first came in, like I took a liking to him, and I gave him a lot of advice. I actually showed Sammy how to forearm, like properly and stuff.
Wow.
So like, but as far as with the whole HWA stuff, like we all kind of just grew from there. But yeah, I mean, the times were great at HWA.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that John Moxley's final CZW match was against you. Am I
Absolutely.
right?
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
How
yeah.
would you?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I kind of refer like how he used to ask me how I got into
Oh yeah.
CZW. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go for it. Go on.
I kind of went on a rant with
No, it's
HWA
okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry
because
about it.
that was at the first.
Hey man, I love tangents. I love it.
But
As
but
long as
yeah,
people keep talking, I'm all good. It's the silence that I don't like.
yeah. I'm just trying to give you a great interview here,
No, I
man.
love it.
But
Better than not talking.
but with the whole circling back the whole CZW thing, how that came about. I was great friends with Sammy from the old HW days and John Moxley. Like I was some of the first very John Moxley matches. Like
Mm-hmm.
when John Moxley first came in, he came in as a football player, and he was a tag team with this guy named Jimmy Turner, and they
Mm-hmm.
were called the Unnecessary Roughness.
Mm-hmm.
And I tagged with them a lot. But they were huge parts of getting me into CZW, and so was Drake Younger.
Mm-hmm.
So if it wasn't for the three of those guys, I don't think I would have got that opportunity to come to
Mm-hmm.
CZW at the when CZW actually, like it was something, like it was at the ECW arena.
It was a big deal.
It was a huge deal. It was best of the best, and my first match in CZW in the arena alone, because I've done a bunch of Ring of Honor stuff there,
Mm-hmm.
but of me being singles, this was the one time that I thought I was able to like finally break away and become like the singles guy.
Mm.
And it was that showcase that I had with AR Fox and Sammy Callahan in that three-way. It was amazing. So
Mm.
it was off to the races from there. Funny story about that is DJ Hyde. I come up and I got the black. At that time, I had blonde hair. I was just doing the trunks and stuff but I wanted to be completely different because of the feud that Ring of Honor and CZW had. Like I was actually a part of that on the Ring of Honor side.
Mm.
So with all that being said, it was like I wanted to change completely. I wanted to change my gear. Like I got in a huge, crazy like shape and dyed my hair, all that. 'Cause like I said, I didn't want it to come in the same. And DJ Hyde's like, hey, I'm sorry, but uh, who are you? I
God.
go, I took a second. I thought to myself, well, hmm. So I go, well, sir, my name is Jake Crist, but I guarantee you at the end of the night, You will remember that.
Mm.
And he looked at me and he's like, and walked away.
Wow. Okay.
and then like 10 minutes later he goes, "Hey, I forgot what we discussed pay wise."
Oh.
That's when I was like, "Oh, I could be a real son of a bitch here and just and double my pay, and this guy will never even know." But I'm a nice guy and true dude, so I was like, "Yeah, $75."
Okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Um,
for 20 hours.
yeah, okay. So you mentioned Moxley bringing you in and everything, but his last CZW match was against you. So I was wondering, since he now seems to have Moxley's now seems to have some freedom as to where he is allowed to perform, and you're obviously a free agent. I mean, I'm wondering if we're ever going to see a CZW rematch between Moxley and Jake Crist.
I would love it. I mean, I'm also one of those guys that don't. With having a family, I kind of not that I turn off the business because I'm social media. Like I study films and all that, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
between working out and stuff like that. I don't. I'm not one of those guys that sits down and writes a list of this is the guy that I want to
Yeah.
wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, to me, it's like I would rather focus on, like what I need to do around the house, or do whatever that I need to do with my children. If my children need to go to a soccer game, I'll take her to a soccer game. If they
Yeah.
need to go to doctor's appointments, I'll go to doctor's appointments.
So you kind of
So
turn the business off when you're at home
I kind of turn the
a little bit.
business
Yeah.
off at home, and to be honest, like I just don't sit around thinking about other men
Booking
that
your
would be
own
great.
matches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great to wrestle. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like I just don't think about that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Well, I won't keep you much longer. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for chatting to us. I think it would be cool if we check back in with each other in like a year or so, hopefully when everything's died down, and see where you're at.
Hey, anytime, man.
Yeah,
Anytime you'll
man.
have me. Anytime you'll have me.
I'm happy to have you whenever. And yeah, thank you for joining us all the way. You're in Dayton, right?
Dayton, Ohio.
Okay, thank you, man. Ohio. Ohio's such a weird state to me because it flies under the radar in terms of the number of creative people that it produces. If that makes sense.
It really
Like
does.
my favorite band ever is The National, and they're from Cincinnati. Yeah, there's just loads of famous, brilliant artists from
Bunch.
Ohio. Yeah, LeBron, etc.
LeBron James. Actually got to see LeBron James play in high school. Me and my father-in-law. It was
Oh
amazing.
wow.
Yeah, in Akron, it was amazing.
Because he skipped college, right? He just went straight from high school to the NBA.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were scalping tickets to a high school game.
Oh, well, that's crazy.
No, that's how you knew he was going to be a superstar. It was crazy.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
All right, man.
I got to be one of the ones.
Yeah, I know. You got in there on the ground. That's cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Take care.
ProWrestlingSheet.com